Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Group Captain Pat Cooper. Today, we commemorate the 98th anniversary of the formation of the Royal Australian Air Force. Military aviation was pioneered during the First World War, during which the armies and navies of major combatants operated aircraft. By the late stages of the war, however, aerial fighting was recognised as a distinct form of warfare, rather than adjunct to land or sea operations. In 1918, Great Britain combined the Royal Naval Air Service and the Royal Flying Corps to form the Royal Air Force. The 4 squadrons of the Australian Flying Corps remained part of the Australian Imperial Force, and on the 31st of March 1921, the Royal Australian Air Force was formed, the second oldest air force in the world. Since its origin in the Australian Flying Corps serving the Middle East and Europe, the RAAF has established a proud record of service that encompasses the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and Southeast Asian conflicts, as well as more recent involvement in East Timor, Solomon Islands, and the Middle East. Thousands of Australians have served in the RAAF, operating in conjunction with other air forces across the globe, and inevitably, some have fallen. Today, we pay our respects to the men and women commemorated here on the Roll of Honour and to the survivors who have returned home. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force, and they provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier.
Catapult party, present. Arms. Catapult party, reverse. party, rest on.
Please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Catafalque party, attention. Catafalque party, present. Arms.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is earth by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Catafalque party, shoulder. Arms. Catafalque party, order. Arms.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we pay tribute to Flight Lieutenant Barrington Armitage Knyvett. Barrington Knyvett was born on the 30th of November 1915 in the Sydney suburb of Manly, the son of Edmund and Edith Knyvett. The young Barrington spent most of his life in Leederville in the Warrumbungle Shire of New South Wales, where the Knyvett family ran a farm, Dew Robin. Barrington worked alongside his father and brother as a grazier. He was well known and respected in the district for his many years as a steward in the horse section of the Dunedoo show. Following the outbreak of the Second World War, Knyvett enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force. Following his call-up for duty, on the 11th of November 1940, Knyvett commenced training as a pilot, first at Bradfield Park, then at Narromine. In April 1941, he embarked for overseas service, first to Canada, where he completed his pilot training at Macleod, Alberta, and then to Britain. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, Knyvett was one of almost 27,500 Royal Australian Air Force pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. After his arrival in Britain, he undertook further specialist training to become a bomber pilot before being posted in December 1941 to number 150 Squadron, Royal Air Force. Part of Bomber Command, the squadron was equipped with Vickers Wellingtons. Knyvett flew a full tour with number 150 Squadron and took part in a number of the 1,000 bomber raids and other operations bombing targets in the Ruhr Valley. For his service with number 150 Squadron, Knyvett was awarded a Distinguished Flying Cross. His citation reads, "This officer has a fine record of achievement. Throughout his tour, his courage, skill and determination in action have been an inspiration to his crew. He has taken part in many raids of heavily defended areas of the Ruhr, pressing home his attacks with the utmost determination and with complete disregard for any opposition or for his own personal safety. His unconquerable spirit, coupled with fine leadership, has set a magnificent example." Knyvett received his award from King George VI at a ceremony at Buckingham Palace in December 1942. That month, he commenced a period as a flight instructor, a role he continued until he returned to operational duties in December 1943 with number 460 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. Number 460 Squadron would become the most highly decorated Australian squadron in Bomber Command and the squadron that suffered the highest casualties. Flying twin-engine Vickers Wellington medium bombers and then four-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bombers, the squadron lost over 1,000 men, Australians, British, Canadians, New Zealanders and South Africans. Almost 600 Australians from number 460 Squadron are listed here on the Roll of Honour. On the night of the 2nd of January 1944, the Lancaster, in which Knyvett was a pilot, took off from Royal Air Force Binbrook to take part in a large raid on Berlin. Just after takeoff, the aircraft, fully laden with bombs for the mission ahead, banked sharply and dived into the ground, exploding on impact. Knyvett and all 6 of his fellow crewmates were killed. Knyvett was 28 years old. Today, the Australian members of the crew are buried side by side in the Royal Air Force plot at Cambridge Cemetery. Knyvett's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A group photograph is located today beside the pool of reflection where Flight Lieutenant Knyvett is located in the middle row, third from the left. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Lieutenant Barrington Armitage Knyvett, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Catapult party, present, arms.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, quick march.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.